Hello and welcome to another episode of The Optimized Show. I am David Mammano, your host, where we have a new show every Wednesday morning. We're bringing you practices to optimize whatever organization you're in. Today on the show, I have a great guest, Justin Collins from the Rochester Police Department. Justin, thanks and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you being here. Wanted to bring you in because, oftentimes on our show, we're interviewing, CEOs of larger companies, HR directors, just other organizations and how they optimize. We just had the mayor on a couple weeks ago, how he's optimizing the city of Rochester. Made me think, with everything going on, the challenges and opportunities with police departments around the country about, optimizing your brand, your recruitment, and everything that you're doing. And that's what you do. That's your role at the Rochester Police Department. So tell us a little bit more about who you are. You started out with just like regular recruit, right? Doing the job.
Yeah, it has never been more important for police departments to get their message out about what they do. Yeah. I think so often the commercial, whether it's the best or worst commercial for our industry, is movies, Netflix shows, TV shows, which show exciting shootouts and car chases and danger. And that's how people get introduced to law enforcement. Now, while there is danger in any measure of law enforcement, including where we work, it is a small part of what we do. A lot of what we do is empathizing with people in crisis, talking to people through difficult situations, and really helping navigate through those problems. That's what we do. So how do we get that message out that, this is what the job is, this is how we help? We want to get our message out there so that we can attract the right type of candidate to start their journey as a leader in our community, join the Rochester Police Department.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, we'll say, miscommunication with the brand with police departments over the past few years. At the end of the day, 99.9% of any organization, including a police department, are upright, stellar individuals trying to do a great job, trying to protect and serve.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, no, totally.
And of course there's a bad apple here, a bad apple at a school, a bad apple any place is going. That's what the news is going to report on.
Totally, and just to add to that, there is always going to be persons that are perhaps not the right fit for the job. No one dislikes a bad police officer, a bad surgeon, a bad doctor, a bad postal worker than the good postal workers, than the good police officers, and the good doctors. You want to always have people operating professional and doing the right thing. And that's what you're looking for, to be part of representing your agency. Yep,
yeah. Well, as we were talking about before the show here, bad news sells well, right?
Yes.
The media, the news, it's all about the bad stuff going on. Very rarely is it like the good spotlight, right?
Sure. So, you're totally right.
Yeah. So tell me about your journey. So, how did you get into the role that you are now, which is you're in charge of recruiting new officers?
Sure.
And how's that going?
So it's going great. Started out, grew up in Buffalo, New York. Big Bills fan. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Next year is their year. I know.
It's next year, right? So I started out there, lived in the city of Buffalo. Opportunity presented itself in Rochester and started taking tests. And I came here, always wanted to be a cop. I had some great experience with cops when I was younger. Made an impression on me, the types of leaders and types of people they were to be called to service like that, and to want to help serve your community. I know sometimes those used almost like cliches, but it's real. Yeah. The things that we ask police officers to do is just incredible. Putting their life on the line, protecting communities, putting their life on the line for complete strangers on a daily basis at a moment's notice. Yeah. So I just have a lot of admiration for that, and that's why I wanted to do it. My journey started out, again, became a Rochester police officer, worked in patrol, worked in our tactical unit, did some incredible things there, and then got promoted to sergeant, started working as a tactical sergeant, a patrol sergeant, had a chance to be the PIO in the communications department for the city of Rochester, so really enjoyed that. Work in the technical services section, managing all our blue light cameras. That's one thing I would tell people about policing, and especially an agency like ours. There is literally so many opportunities that you wouldn't even think of that exist in police departments. So that's where that mobility piece and doing different things, learning different jobs, it really exists in an organization like ours. But now helping with recruitment, being a head of recruitment and workforce development, it's really a challenge. It's a challenge because, as you've mentioned a moment ago, law enforcement staffing is down across the country, to include Rochester. We're not a stranger to that as well. But really coming up with a time of innovation and innovative ways to bring candidates in, innovative ways to keep them engaged. again, I'm going to go back to this. I really view these young men and women that are taking this journey to be police officers as leaders. They are leaders in the community. They are stepping up to do this noble job in a time when, some folks are turning their back on it. But if anything, the last few years has shown us there needs to be changes in the way we do policing. We need to listen to the community and the way they want to be policed. But it's also shown us that now is the time to join and be part of that change. And we've got a tremendous group of young police officers and veteran police officers alike in our agency, but a pipeline behind them that we've built that I'm really excited about, that are coming up through the ranks. And
I'm be proud of that.
I'm a big sports guy, so hockey, baseball, and the way they develop their future athletes, that's a unique approach that the Rochester Police Department has taken. And you mentioned, like, how did we get there? For me, I feel blessed to have the opportunity. Our chief allowed me to implement this system 2 years ago, but as I mentioned previously, prior to that, I started my own company. I ran that successfully for 6 years. And I paused it to install, when I was asked to help install something similar with the Rochester PD. But for that 6 years, it really focused on developing candidates. Old practice would be, if you wanted to be a police officer, you went and took the test. Process itself takes about 1.5 years, Dave, before you'll get called. A lot of hurry up and wait, a lot of stops and starts, a lot of moments of not speaking with anyone for months on end. We saw huge gaps in that. So we wanted to create a solution, and that's what I did with my company, Police Exam Career Prep. We created a solution to help agencies headhunt almost, if you will, and develop candidates. And the development piece comes in it because there is a lot of steps to becoming a police officer. There's the written exam, the physical agility, there's the background, the interview, psych, polygraph. It's a long process, and a lot of times mentoring people through that process is huge. But on the flip side of that development is, and I go back to what I said earlier, most of what we do, Dave, is empathizing with people in crisis. It is dealing with communities that are different than perhaps you're accustomed to, or different cultures, or getting immersed into situations that maybe you didn't grow up like that. Or maybe you did, but you're learning different ways to approach them. How we do that in our workforce development program is, on average, a candidate in our group, and there's about 100 in there right now, they will spend anywhere from 500 to 700 hours in a year's time at local rec centers, at local churches for events. They will be dealing with crimes victims groups, victims of homicide. They are out there immersed in some of the toughest neighborhoods of the city of Rochester, but that is when we're talking about the development piece. That's how we're finding out, is this what you want to do? You want to be part of that change? Is this what you were thinking? Sometimes, I'd be lying to you, I said sometimes people back out, they're not interested. That's okay. Yeah. Because the ones we keep, they are some amazing, amazing human beings. And
it's like a vetting almost,
yes,
right?
Yeah, but it's coming from a whole other direction, because you're asking people to do incredible things by becoming police officers. I mean, again, you're asking them to do a lot. We're in an age where that we talk about innovation and solutions. We've been able to implement something where we're really taking that extra step to look at the character. You gave me your references, that's great. We knocked on some doors, that's great. Let's take a look and see how you operate in these type of scenarios. And it really gives us a chance to peel back the layers and to figure out, what is this person about? Do they fit into what we're looking for culturally? Culture's a huge thing for me. Building a strong culture that people enjoy working there. They like being part of whatever the mission is. And I think we've been able to create that with our workforce development program to help seed this agency for years to come. And who will these people be in 10, 15 years? I won't be working for the Rochester Police Department in 10, 15 years, but I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of chiefs come out of this program. I have a feeling we're going to see some stellar police officers come out of this program. Naturally, you would see, because they've spent so much time ingrained in the community voluntarily, by the way. No promises are made to them that they're going to be hired, but you're getting some really emotionally intelligent, mature, consistent candidates, and I don't think you can put a price tag on that.
Yeah, it's. I almost want to say it's not your father's police department, right?
No,
no. And I think tough times often lead to a better way of doing things.
Yep.
Even if it's your own life or organization, you're forced to find a way to adapt and improve. And this whole whatever's happened the past 3 or 4 years with the defund the police, et cetera, has forced you guys to kind of create a different path, right? And it seems like what you're doing is a more understanding, empathetic, compassionate police force,
Right.
while still being able to do
Still gotta do
the
the job.
very tough aspects of
Absolutely.
the job. I mean, sometimes you just got to be a bad, you know what?
You
you got to kick down doors.
You got to
and
be
get,
tough.
and
You
get the
got to
bad
be
guys,
tough.
right?
Make no mistake about it. You have to be tough. You have to be strong. You have to have everything, but you still have to be a person that's compassionate and empathetic towards people in crisis. And you still have to have someone who's out there engaged in the community. Again, movies show a tiny little bit about what we do, but that's where people get their commercial from if they're not familiar with law enforcement.
Yeah, interesting. What are you looking for? Who, is there kind of an avatar of a person who is really a good fit these days?
I would hit the 4 things that my folks in the program, my future leaders in the program know. It's honesty, maturity, consistency, emotional intelligence. We're not looking for perfect people. In fact, life experience is great. Because I remember when I started on this job and I was 23, you could put in situations with adult married couples that you could not possibly understand, but you have to try to referee at times or give them advice. So life experience is a good thing, and it can become very valuable as you're a police officer. Those are the 4 things that I really like. But you know what's amazing is, culturally, Rochester is one of the most diverse communities, in our state. It's just incredible per capita what we have here. We've been able to go out and find just, again, we have some record firsts that in the last 2 years, first 3 people from Nepal. I mentioned Nepal earlier, and that was something first 3 ever Nepalese police officers, first officer from Honduras, first officer from the Congo, really able to start opening doors. Talk about being inclusive. There's a lot of talk, are you inclusive? We're showing that we're inclusive. We're giving people opportunities to start incredible careers with our organization. But that's because we've taken the time to develop processes to figure out who's someone who has a viable chance to make it, and how can we provide services. We've done stuff with helping people learn to, get their driver's license or citizenship or whatever it is. Myself and my team have really gone to push to give people an opportunity to work for an incredible organization.
That's fantastic. What if the things you're doing today, what if you brought those up like 10 years ago?
Totally.
How would they have been received?
They wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And the way I approach things is how I've approached things since I began my career. And that doesn't always make you the most popular person, but it's what I know is right.
Yeah.
People want to feel included. They want to feel like there's a level playing field. They have an opportunity to do something. And this problem wasn't just a Rochester police problem. It was an all law enforcement. They needed to evolve, and a lot of our processes needed to evolve. I like applying business thinking to anytime I can into what we do, as far as what is going to make sense now and then down the road. But it would absolutely not have been. That's why I'm so fortunate to have the leadership we have in place now that is allowing us to do these things. And using data to analyze problems and then to make adjustments if the data is showing to make adjustments, or if the data is saying it's working, keep it going.
Yeah.
Those are normal business
Just
practices.
like a business, right?
Exactly, exactly. Less emotionally based decisions and more decisions based on data and projections. And I really like the direction we're going. What I love about it too is it's unique. Doing it privately for 6 years, I looked across the country to see anyone who was doing this level of engagement, and it didn't exist.
Yeah.
And I was hoping there would be, to be honest, because then you can start to share best practices. Like, what are you doing differently? Didn't find any of that. There's people that are trying, but our level of engagement and our success rate is a measure of how hard our team works, how much they buy into what we're doing, and the culture that we created. And we address all aspects of the culture, but we surround ourselves with people that are on the same mission as us, but also we surround ourselves with people that are like-minded and positive. I think positivity can really thwart any other nonsense. And especially in the industry that we're in, keeping that positive mindset is super important, because it's easy to get sucked down a negative direction. It just is.
It's almost natural, right? It's easier to do that. It's harder to be positive.
Sure.
That's where the good stuff happens.
For sure.
So how are some of the quote-unquote old-timers, some of the veterans, reacting to some of these new strategies and philosophies?
I would bet some appreciate it, others do not. What I hear and what I'm told are I guess 2 different things. But I think that anybody would be skeptical of something different. Yeah. That's one thing, and I think any industry, people don't like change. Yeah. They don't like, but you've got to, as I often say, one thing you can't mess with is an organization's staffing, right? You can certain supplies you can wait a little bit longer and order new ones. Vehicles you can wait a little longer and order new ones. Training, we can update it next month. If you don't have staffing, you're going to feel the hit every time. You've got to have, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you have to still have people to do the job. We're down around 93 officers right now. So our goal really is to try to find 93 or more than 93, say 100 more officers. But we're not gonna sacrifice quality for quantity. We want quality officers to work here. That's super important.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, based on, TV, the news, media, et cetera, like it or not, everyone has an impression of a police officer.
Yep.
What do you say, if you were to describe just, an average, police officer that is doing a great job helping the city of Rochester stay safe, what are they like? What are their characteristics?
I say that there are determined people, they're caring people. I would say that they're people who have families themselves and they want to return home to those families each night. I would say there are people who put others before themselves. No one takes this job with selfish intentions because you're going to be let down within the first month.
Right.
It really is about service above self is really what I would describe as the DNA of an individual who works for the Rochester Police Department or any policing agency for that matter.
Yeah.
You're going to put in so much more than you'll ever get out of it, but I subscribe to the theory that if you work a job that you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
And I can honestly say that. And I would say that would go for mostly everyone. And, although we've lost some folks to retirement, there are still a lot of folks that are staying, and that's because they still love the job.
Yeah, and it's a tough job.
It
If anybody knows what police officers, like a day in the life of what a police officer really does, it's a tough job.
It is a tough job.
There's some things that, as they say, you can't unsee, right? I mean, there's a lot of tragic things that you see and help with. There's great things where you're doing the protecting and serving and helping and everywhere in between.
Yep.
And once I think people really take the time to understand, really what police officers do on a regular basis, I don't see how you can't help but just total respect.
Yeah, I don't either, but I think what that comes from is maybe some people have had experiences, and again, it goes back to trying to get it right and not being a perfect system. But the same thing goes for any other industry.
Yeah.
You're not always going to get it right. But what happens to us is we get judged for incidents that happen across the country as if it was us. Not to say that our area doesn't have its share of mistakes, but it's one of the only professions where we're all judged for the mistakes of what happens in Oklahoma or what happens in Seattle Police Department or wherever. Not to throw them
if
under
there's
the
a
bus.
bad teacher in Penfield,
100%.
the teacher in Seattle's not getting repercussions.
Exactly.
Right?
So that's why we got to work overtime to
Yeah.
make sure that we are putting our message out there about what we're looking for and also be transparent.
Yeah.
I think transparency is a huge part about it. Making sure that we're developing relationships with the community stakeholders, making sure that our future officers are developing those relationships.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's all coming down to being process-driven, making sure that we are continuing what works, using data to analyze, and then if it doesn't, pivoting. My experience, I've had the chance to, in my 20-year career in RPD, I've done other things. So I told you I ran my own business. Previously to that, I ran a nonprofit as an executive director. So I was able to wear a couple hats and learn some different things.
Yeah.
And
then incorporate
into that. So what we're doing, so that's why the repeatable processes. Using data, I hate to keep hitting on those, but that's something that a lot of times policing is still looking to gain and grab onto. Some are starting to, and that's how you're going to start to really evolve. So right now is a time for innovation. It's great, and I think it's the time can only go up from here, our industry. What we're doing now, though, we have to do something different maybe 2-3 years from now. Just keep evolving and keep trying to find great people to fill these spots.
Yep, I love it. Well, thanks for doing what you're doing. Last question is, if you had a crystal ball and you could kind of see the Rochester Police Department 10 years from now, what is that department like?
I think it is just, again, continuing to evolve a technology-driven, a data-driven organization. I think it's adopting some of the best practices around the country, one of them being what we're doing here at Workforce Development. It's an organization that is full of opportunity. It's an organization that pays their employees well. It's a culture of inclusiveness. It's a culture of positivity. I think that the work that the Rochester Police Department do, when we talk about movies and TV shows, and going back to that again, if you're looking for detective shows, that's what we do. I mean, the volume of calls and cases that our officers are working are incredible. I think that we're going to learn and we're going to get ahead of starting to promote who we are better. I think through partnerships with outside organizations to build our brand, to push it forward. And again, an organization, and I know that leaders are going to come from this group, that are going to rise and they're going to take it in a different direction. But I see it as an organization that's agile and that's continuing to evolve and continuing to lead the way.
Yeah, I love it. It's like our PD, we'll say 3.0, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I love it. Well, thanks for doing what you're doing. I think we are so lucky as a community to have you and people like you that have been in the force for quite a while, but still have so much passion and love for what you do and wanting to leave a legacy, wanting to leave the place better than when you got there. So I feel like we're in very good hands.
Awesome.
People want to learn more a little bit about, joining.
Yes.
And getting recruited. Where do they go?
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we are always recruiting. So 24/7, 365. They can go to www.cityofrochester.gov/joinrpd. As soon as they sign up, our recruiters will reach out to them, let them know about the opportunities. There's civilian jobs. There's so many opportunities they can to get their foot in the door with the Rochester Police Department.
Great. So a lot of opportunities, not just being a police officer.
Sure. No, right? There's many, even starter opportunities or working in our camera room or there's just endless opportunities.
Excellent. So exciting. Justin Collins, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it. Anybody wants to meet Justin personally, throw me an email. I'll connect you, and you could get to feel firsthand how excited he is about what he's doing and the passion. So again, thank you so much, and thanks everybody for watching another great episode of the Optimize Show. I'm David Mammano. Every Wednesday morning, brand new show. Watch us on YouTube. Do me a favor, subscribe, like, love, share us. We're trying to get the good word out and sharing best practices of what all different types of organizations are doing so that the high tide can raise all the ships and make our community and our country and our world a better place. Thank you so much. Have a great day and make sure to stay awesome.